Let's make some noise. Come on.
Oh, indeedy, Nick Foles. Thank you once again for that rousing introduction. I cannot do this without you, Mr. Number 9, Nick Foles, the greatest quarterback in Eagle history. That's right. I mean, they can make stupid statements like Jalen Hurts is the greatest quarterback in Eagle history. I can do the same thing with Nick Foles. Welcome back to the Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. On our final broadcast episode of this week, we made it through another week together, folks. As crazy as that might sound, we made it through another week. And tonight, we're going to take it out in style. We're going to take it out talking about a Phillies doubleheader. Man, I love me some doubleheader baseball. One of the greatest things as a kid. I remember this distinctly as a child. Getting so excited not getting excited, but getting upset when there was a rainout, but knowing that the next day it was going to be a doubleheader on television. Just really nothing like it, man. It was like a bonus to your summer. And I still feel that way as an adult. I can sit and watch doubleheader baseball till my eyes bleed. And unfortunately, I didn't watch really much of the games today because I was a busy man today doing sectional high school baseball playoffs, breaking hearts, making people cry. Man, it was a great day. And then earlier in the day, I was shaping the minds of shaping the minds of upstate New York's future generations by substitute teaching. So just touching the community everywhere today. I was spreading my positivity and my own brand of way of thinking. And so I really didn't have much time to watch a baseball game. I was too busy living life, but I did catch up. I got to see the majority of game 2. Not a great game to watch, right? Zach Wheeler's first real bad game, I don't know, a couple of years. When was the last time Zach Wheeler pitched like that for the Philadelphia Phillies? Yeah, just wasn't having it in game 2. And I've always said that a bad Zach Wheeler is still better than 99.9% of the pitchers in Major League Baseball. I still maintain that, but tonight, that was bad. Phillies split the doubleheader, did take the series, and now we'll prepare to welcome in Rhys Hoskins and the Milwaukee Brewers for the weekend. We'll have some, we can get into some Flyers news. Tyson Forrester has been re-signed to a 2-year he wasn't RFA. He inked a 2-year deal, keeping him a Flyer through the next 2 seasons. No brainer, layup, all those types of sentiments there, because Tyson Forrester is one of the younger players that we can build this team around. Had a breakout offensive season last year. Really, really, really did have a breakout. One of the more positive stories of the 24-25 Flyer season was the emergence of that third line, the Brinks, Forrester, Cates line. And what are they going to do with that line? Does that line stay intact in 25-26? I don't know if it does, because you got to do something with Sean Couturier, because he's not a number 1 center. He's got to go somewhere, and I would think that maybe heading down to that third line is where Couturier might go if they don't address center in the draft or in free agency, which I know they're going to address it in the draft, but perhaps they address it in free agency as well. So we'll see, but Forrester is a Flyer, remains a Flyer, so we can get into that. We are up to our number 2 in MattyB's all-time worst Phillies trades list. That's right, number 2. Last night we did number 3, and I went there. Here was my number 3, a trade that sent young catcher Logan O'Hoppe to the Los Angeles Angels in exchange for outfielder Brandon Marsh on August 2nd, 2022. That's right, I went there. I classify this trade as the 3rd worst trade in Phillies history. I know it might be jumping the gun a bit, but it's my list. I'll do what I want. And Logan O'Hoppe is number 3 on my worst trades in all-time worst trades in Phillies history. Tonight we'll reveal number 2. Maybe I'll go with number 1 as well, just so we can be done with this thing. So yeah, maybe we'll do number 2 and number 1 as we'll try to wrap up this list. But we're going to do that. We're going to do the Of the Night segment and our card review. And of course, your day of Philadelphia sports history, all the great, wonderful things we do here on the program. Hey everyone, Joe Hale, what's going on, man? How are you? Phillies just made a trade. Joe Hale, what the breaking news? Huh? What did the Phillies do? Joe Hale, come on, don't leave us all hanging. I see it right here. The Phillies have acquired left-handed pitcher from the Toronto Blue Jays, No names, damn it. 30-year-old Josh Walker from the Blue Jays for cash considerations. So the Phillies are adding some depth into the bullpen, I would imagine. Yep, adding some depth into the bullpen. Josh Walker from the Blue Jays. Breaking news from Joe Hale here on the program for cash considerations. I don't know if this is the trade that's going to put him over the top. I don't know if you go for a guy that you get with cash considerations as the trade that puts you over the top there, Joe Hale. Let's take a look at Josh Walker. Let's take a look at his numbers, his stats through the season so far. So far in 2025, he's appeared in, geez Louise, man. He's been up and down in 2025. Actually spent some time in AAA, started the season in AAA. It was 0-1 with the Buffalo Bisons, 6.30 ERA in 11 appearances, 2 holds, no saves. One save. His ERA was, did I already mention? Yeah, 6.30 ERA. So he did pitch, what was it? He's he's appeared in one game, appeared in 27 major league games. So he's got some major league, whatever. I'm not. Joe had me all excited, man. And yeah, you all excited, but this was going to be a trade that was going to light the fire under the Phillies. No, this is nothing. This is a depth move. Josh Walker for cash consideration has actually been. I'm looking at it right now. They're saying they're going to sign him to Lehigh Valley, but we'll obviously wait and see if that's going to happen. But Josh Walker is now a Philly. For the run out there and get your Josh Walker jerseys. I think I'd hold off on that, but. Joe Hale breaking the news. Ricky Deal's watching. Matt, you putting up the link? I don't know yet, Ricky. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we're going to do call-ins tonight. I got a lot to get through, so we're going to kind of let this thing ride and let's see what we can do. But the call-in thing, as Ricky mentioned it, we did it last night, and I thought it was a real success. And we will. I have decided that will be incorporated into the everyday show, starting probably next week. Starting on Sunday, we will incorporate that feature into our show throughout the now and forever. So let's do it, man. Let's have some fun with it. But as for tonight, I will see. But let's get going on the show. Let's get going on our night in Philadelphia sports history. But before we do, make sure that you strap it in, strap it on, strap it up. Keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And let's go, folks. Tonight, a banner night in Philadelphia sports history. Of course, it's the Roy Halladay perfect game back in 2010, which was, one of the more banner days in Philadelphia sports history. But it does not top in any way, shape, or form this event that occurred in Philadelphia sports history back in 1989.
The Phillies are a first-class organization and have always afforded me the loyalty and security that few players, if any, will ever know. For that, I will be forever thankful to the Philadelphia Phillies. Last night, I had a very interesting experience. I challenged my teammates to move ahead with renewed enthusiasm, to face the tough times with confidence, and to believe that things will change. It's now up to them to bring new life to the Phillies organization. You probably won't believe this by the way I look right now, but this is a joyous time for me. I've had a great career. My family and friends and I are very content and excited about my decision. It's the beginning of a new life for us. Some 18 years ago, I left Dayton, Ohio with 2 very bad knees and a dream to become a Major League Baseball player. I thank God this dream came true.
That's right. On this day back in 1989, the greatest baseball player to ever put on a uniform for the Philadelphia Phillies and the greatest third baseman to ever play the position in Major League Baseball decided to call it quits. Mike Schmidt retired from Major League Baseball on this night back in 1989. There is not an event that probably sticks with me more from when I first saw this live when I was just a 16-year-old kid. And now all these years later, it still hits me hard every time I watch it. Every time I see that portion of that interview, I still get emotional watching it. What Mike Schmidt meant to a generation, I mean, generations of youth. And to me, I'm included in that. I caught Schmidt kind of at the epochs of his career as he was getting to the top. And then I unfortunately spent most of my time watching Mike Schmidt descending in his career and not necessarily seeing the great times. But I did have the privilege of watching him hit his 500th home run live. I obviously was around and conscious and had thought and enjoyed the 1980 World Series championship just like a lot of people did. The 83 season was an amazing year. So was the 86 season where he won the MVP. All those were great seasons to be Phillies fans and Mike Schmidt. And as my Mike Schmidt jersey hangs like my own personal wall of fame behind me, Mike Schmidt to me means a lot to me as a fan of the game, because he's one of the reasons why I am a fan of baseball. And yes, the Roy Halladay perfect game was an amazing feat by him tonight, but it will never trump what happened in 1989 on this day. And that was the retirement of Mike Schmidt, the greatest Philadelphia Philly baseball player ever, and the greatest third baseman ever to play the game, who, of course, was elected into Cooperstown on his first ballot of eligibility back in 1995 with, I believe, 98% of the vote. And he remains there in Cooperstown. And every time I go into that museum, one of the first places I head to when I get into the Hall of Plaques is number 20. So happy Mike Schmidt retirement night. Because on this day in 1989, a legend called it quits. And I know that a little bit later on, this was a weird season in 89. It was the Pete Rose scandal year. Schmidt actually was elected into the not Hall of Fame, was elected onto the All-Star team that year as a starter. And he actually appeared, but he didn't play. Just a weird season in baseball in general. It was also the earthquake year, the year they had the earthquake at the World Series between the Giants and the A's. Just a weird season in baseball in 1989, and it was definitely summed up by the retirement of Mike Schmidt out of nowhere on this day back in 1989. So there you have it, Mike Schmidt's retirement. So, yeah. Joe Hale says my painter looks ready. I didn't watch the game. I'm going to go back and check out some of the highlights. Ricky, I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. I remember him putting a disguise on going to Veterans Day. I remember that too. Just so many memories of my first baseball memories were of Mike Schmidt, and to watch him retire, and it was always out of nowhere. None of us expected it. Not one Phillies fan that I grew up with expected it. The entire city was completely taken back. This was before social media, before the internet. We had to wait. I think some of the news was breaking off the radio. Then we had to wait for the 5 o'clock local news to come on because, they were trying to catch up. And don't forget, they were out in San Diego. So there was a time difference out there. His number was retired by the Phillies 1 year later in 1990. And of course, the rest is history after that. But absolutely the greatest player ever to put on that uniform for the Phillies. I don't know if there's ever going to be another one like him. I really don't. And a lot of people are going to try to put Bryce Harper into that vein. But a lot of people are going to try to put Bryce Harper into those shoes. It doesn't work for me. Bryce Harper is nothing like the player that Mike Schmidt was. He was generational. He revolutionized the game. I'm not taking away from Bryce Harper and what he provides baseball. I won't. But to put him in any kind of conversation alongside Mike Schmidt is ridiculous. There's not been a Philly that's come along before or since Schmidt that can even touch him on the top of the mountain. And that's why he remains one of my favorite players of all time. And I revel in Sundays with Schmidt when he does play-by-play or commentary with the Phillies. And not a day goes by when I don't miss him on the baseball field. So happy retirement day to Mike Schmidt as he retired on this day back in 1989. I think Sunday will be better with the call lines. As I said, when we start it, Joe, it's going to be part of every show. So if we don't do it tonight, we'll start it Sunday, and it'll be part of every show. I'll start it at a certain point, and we'll make it part of every show. But I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to end up with the calls. I thought it was really fun. All right, so let's get into tonight. Phillies lose tonight 9-3 at the hands of the Braves in game 2. They won game 1 5-4. They ended up taking the series 2 games to 1. 13th series win of the season for the Fighting Phillies. But there's some things that are concerning me, and as they always are. Offensively, this team continues to struggle. Did you guys know this? That now through 56 games of this season, the Phillies are averaging less than 5 runs a game. That's right. I don't know if you're going to win a World Series doing that. Offensively, this team seems to be stuck in one gear. They've scored 264 runs this year. That averaged out to about 4.7 runs a game. They're giving up 227 runs this season for about 4. So they're still outscoring their opponent by 0.7 a game, but they're averaging less than 5. They're averaging less than 5 runs a game. I made a comment that my number one concern, and I think we talked about this last night when I said, what do you consider the number one concern for the Phillies heading down the stretch, or heading, I shouldn't say down the stretch, we're not that deep into this yet, but heading into the dog days or heading into summer, heading into the back end of the first half, into the second half, a lot of people will tell you bullpen. That is a concern. Now, they went out tonight, and I don't know if they addressed it by adding a 30-year-old journeyman reliever from the Blue Jay organization and Josh Walker, but a lot of people will tell you it's bullpen. I disagree. I think it's the offense, and I think it's always been with this team unlocking the potential of the Philadelphia Phillies offense, and it has not yet been unlocked. We're still waiting for someone to come along with the right key or the right combination to unlock this offense. And again, through 56 games, this offense is operating a lot like it did last year, a lot like it did the year before that, and a lot like it did the year before that. All seasons, mind you, that they did not win the World Series. So through 56 games, they've scored 264 runs. So they're averaging 4.7 runs a game, less than 5. I mean, if you want to put yourself into that elite category or that very good category of MLB teams, you got to score at least 5 runs a game. Just like if you're batting with your batting average with runners in scoring position, all your top contending teams, all the teams, in my opinion, that will be fighting it out for a World Series are batting around that 270 mark with runners in scoring position. The Phillies now through 56 games, or 130 for 505 with runners in scoring position, a piddly 257 batting average with runners in scoring position. They have also stranded 427 runners on the bases for almost 8 a game, 7.7. So offense, to me, is this team's major problem heading down the stretch or heading into the meat of the season for me. I know bullpen is a problem, but if I'm prioritizing my problems, if I'm saying A, B, C, number one for me is trying to figure out, or somebody coming along and trying to unlock this offense. I just threw out some very disturbing numbers. They're averaging less than 5 runs a game. They're batting under 260 with runners in scoring position. And they're leaving close to 8 runners a game on the base paths. Do we need some help on the bullpen? Yeah, but we also need to figure out some of the offensive problems, because it's a problem that keeps getting overlooked. It's a problem that keeps getting wished away. It's a problem that keeps getting forgotten about because you're watching Kyle Schwarber hit home runs, but you're losing sight. We're losing sight as a fan base. The problems with this offense that have been habitual over the last 3 seasons. So tonight the Phillies went out and added this better not be the trade that we're looking for. Josh Walker, the guy's name. No offense to Josh Walker and any supporters of him out there. He's a journeyman guy that's currently pitching in the Blue Jay organization. He's now a member of the Phillies organization, as the Phillies sent cash considerations to the Blue Jays for him. Again, I hope that's not the trade we're looking to address the bullpen with. But I'm also looking at the offense. Now, does the offense need new personnel? Maybe. Are you going to be able to do major changes to the offense in season? Probably not. It goes down to trying to unlock the secret of these hitters. And Rob Thompson has failed to do that so far. Joe Girardi failed to do that as well. So I'm not saying Rob's by himself. It's a problem offensively with this team. And everybody glosses over it because you see the names. You know, the Turners, the Harpers, the Schwarbers, the JTs. Those names are synonymous apparently with really good offense. But if you look at the numbers, and again, I know homers don't like numbers because numbers tell too real of a story. And that doesn't fit a homer's friggin' narrative, and they don't like that. But if you look at the numbers, offensively, this team is struggling in a lot of key areas. And these numbers are not taken out of 10 games, out of 20 games, taken out of 56 games, the amount of games the team has played all season long. Averaging 4.7 runs a game, less than 5. Batting .257 with runners in scoring position. Leaving 7.7 runners on base per game. Those are numbers that are not screaming to me World Series competition there. So, I don't know, man. I'm looking at potentially trying to get the offense back on track. Hello, Barbara. I agree Harper is in the same class as Mike Schmidt, lifetime Phillies. Absolutely not. And I know I haven't heard too much of that, Barbara. I haven't heard people kind of going on about that. I know there's some rumblings about that. He's going to go down as the greatest Philly of all time. Fiddlesticks. First of all, now he's got the MVP, but he's won one. Would Schmidt win 4 MVPs? Harper hasn't won a Gold Glove yet. And more importantly, Harper's not won a championship. So I agree, Barbara. It's different types of players. Oh, where are you? Marshawn looked good in the first game. Yeah, he did. First home run in almost a year. Stanley Cup Finals set. Edmonton versus. So Bobrovsky's going for another cup. Good for Bob. I think the lineup is the biggest problem. It's either feast or famine. They have always beat a minor league pitcher, but struggle against good ones like Skeens, who dominated. Skeens, Chris Sale. I mean, hell, Barbara, we don't even got to say, good pitchers that they haven't seen before. They struggle against. They make every pitcher out there look pretty good at times. I said this coming out of the 9-game training wheel session they just went through with the Rockies, the A's, and the Pirates. They won 9 out of those 10 games. I get that. But did they overpower anybody at all through that 10-game stretch? No, there was a lot of games there that it was in the balance when the starting pitchers were in. It was when when the Phillies got to these bullpens, they were able to kind of get to them. So there shouldn't be a lot of back padding going on because of that 9-1 stretch. They struggled to get ahead of some of these teams in some of these games, right? There wasn't too many of these, maybe 2 or 3 blowouts throughout that stretch, if I'm being probably generous about that. But the majority of the games were contested until the Phillies got to the bullpen or got to the other team's bullpen and then blew it out from there. So, I mean, we lose sight of so much when we talk about the Phillies. Hitting home runs against minor league teams in minor league stadiums don't excite me. Nah, don't excite me either. Joe Girardi didn't have the roster to work with, though. Well, he kind of did. I mean, in 2022, he did. And I got to give Rob Thompson some credit. Girardi was kind of stuck in his dinosaur ways by not giving rookies an opportunity, and I get that. It's the way he is. I don't think he was properly employing the roster at the time. Matter of fact, if I look at this roster, I would actually maybe take the 2022 team over to this current team right now. I think I might. The 2022 roster had a lot more fight in it. JT could still hit then. Rhys Hoskins came to bat or woke up at the most opportune moment in the postseason. So I got to seriously take a look at the 2022 team and be like, you know what? I'd probably take that route. Gene Segura had a monster year in 2022. I don't know, man. Now you got me thinking there, Barbara. Athletics have lost like 18 of 19. Only win was against the Phillies. Well, it's their Philadelphia rival. But Phillies lost tonight 9-3, but they do take this. They won 5-4 and lost 9-3 in a day-night doubleheader that you hopefully caught the what was that show called? Yeah, the Fighting's Final. It's been a long day, guys. Fighting's Final here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And if you didn't catch it, you can catch it on all of our social media platforms: our YouTube, our Twitter, our Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, whatever else we got, Threads, all that stuff. So make sure you're checking things out. I have to admit, though, I need to do a better job. I am not a social media kind of guy. I'm a little bit older for that. But I got to be better. I got to be more diligent with social media, and especially with TikTok and all that other stuff. I got to be better with it. I apologize. I need a kid to work that side of that for me. I need some like 19-year-old who like lives on those things, that knows what he's doing, or she knows what she's doing, and that's what I need to do. I need to hire me a kid. But tomorrow, the Phillies will continue on with their season. The Milwaukee Brewers and aforementioned Rhys Hoskins will be here for a 3-game set. And here's your Fighting's final lineup for the weekend. Big Al, Pat, and Mike. As you can see, a notable missing link here is myself. I am not going to be on the Fighting's final this weekend. Matter of fact, I warned you all about this. I said that coming up here over the next, 2.5 months, starting Saturday, I'm going to be it's going to be tough for me. I'm going to be living a life that I'm burning the candle on 17 different ends. And that all starts Saturday night for me, as I will regain or return to my position at Cooperstown, New York, as a umpire crew chief at Cooperstown Dreams Park, as we take care of the, their 29th summer of competitive baseball from all over the country. Teams come in for the week. Between 85 and 110 teams a week, and when they do nothing but play baseball, and we do nothing but umpire it. So that's going to start here on Saturday. It's going to take a lot of my time, but I will be. You will see me. It's just it's going to dominate, and it dominates every summer. But it's fun. I meet a lot of cool people from all over, and I make pretty good money doing it too. So that is your Fighting's final lineup for this weekend. Big Al, Pat, and Mike. Can I take you on a tour of the Phillies ballpark? Ricky, I don't work for the Phillies. I mean, contact the Philly captain, man. He'd probably do it for you. He's all about that. I did actually check in with Mike and also with Pat and the Union show. Good. I'm glad you did, Barbara. Keep them guys honest. How's Pat's internet? Is it working better? It's gonna drive me crazy, man. Brewers would like to leave Hoskins here. They are looking to dump him. I did hear that as well. I'm in no interest. I have no interest in that. I don't need another first baseman / DH who can only hit home runs. I do not need another one of them on this team. I take him if they pay us, right? If Hoskins would pay us to take him, I'm not going to pay money for him. And why would the Phillies do that? Why would they let him go 2 years ago when they could have re-signed him and then just re-sign him now 2 years later? I mean, that would make no sense. But I agree, Barbara. I don't want him here. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I personally don't want Rhys Hoskins here. But the Phillies are now through 56 games. They are currently sitting at 36-20. I believe still in first place in the NL East. Saturday, when the month of May wraps for the Phillies. Phillies so far this month, and I got to give credit here too, 19-7 for the month of May, a huge turnaround month for them compared to what they were in April. They did not fall into that trap of coming out of April, which I've always said, and I maintain this as well, that all I'm looking for from my team for the month of April is 500 or better and healthy. And the Phillies really did that. They actually did that. They were healthy and they were 500 or better. And they came out and they did exactly what they had to do in the month of May. And that was build upon and get some confidence and get some things rolling. 19-6 right now through that month of May. And they will finish up the month, 19-7. And they, of course, will finish the month of May on Saturday. So definitely over 500 and probably over 20 wins. So that's definite. And that's kind of goes against all the past Mays. I mean, they had a good May last year, but they've had bad Mays in 23. They had a bad May in 22. And so May seems to be the looking up month. Now, of course, we have June to look forward to, the hitting season month and all that, see how they go from there. But mission accomplished for the month of May for the Phillies. And I got to give my, tip the old cap to that. So pretty good for them. we definitely don't need Stonehand strikeout king again. No, I mean, listen, as I said, Barbara, I will never forget what he did in 22 in the playoffs. But you're right. I don't need him playing first base. Don't need him out there. I don't need another one. I mean, I can barely, deal with Bohm. Don't need to send Rhys Hoskins back out there. Whole different lineup tonight. Talk about the Phillies game, Joe Hale. Whole different lineup from the Phillies game. I was looking at that earlier. Is that what you're talking about? I know that they had Turner leading off, which was interesting. Oh, yeah, they Kyle Schwarber batting second. Wow. This lineup. Oh, what the hell is JT batting sixth? I'm sorry, fifth. JT Realmuto was batting fifth in the lineup tonight. 1 for 4 with an RBI. He's got a strikeout. 229. The BCIB is batting 229. And again, let me remind everybody out there that my number 3 overall worst trade in Philadelphia Phillies history. That's right. My MattyB's number 3 worst trade in Phillies history. The Logan O'Hoppe deal, sending Logan to the Los Angeles Anaheim Angels for Brandon Marsh and leaving us here with JT Realmuto. So, wow. 229 he's batting right now. Gotta love it, man. All you JT Realmuto people out there, you gotta love it. Can't make this stuff up. Batting 229. We were even better last season until late June in London. Yeah, yes, we were, Barbara. Absolutely were. Usually, second game of doubleheader is a different line. It does, and there seemed to have been a little bit of a program loss feel to the second game. But whenever you throw out Wheeler, you don't expect that, and that's obviously the big difference in this game than anything else was the fact that Wheeler just came out and just did not have his stuff. I mean, one of the worst starts, if not maybe the worst start he ever had as a Philly. Only lasted 5 1/3, 4 hits, 6 runs, 6 earned runs, 4 walks, and only 6 strikeouts and a home run. 107 pitches over 5 1/3 innings. It was not a good night for Zach Wheeler. And obviously the difference in game 2 was Zach Wheeler. You can't have that type of effort, and you don't expect that type of effort from a pitcher like Zach Wheeler. So, yeah, pretty basic stuff if you ask me, Barbara, about why the Phillies lost tonight. But all right, let's continue on because we got some more business to kind of attend to here on the program. I want to get through my top 10 list tonight. I want to finish it. We've done up to number 3, and I want to get through number 2 and 1 tonight because I've had fun doing this trade list. And then next week, if I have time, again, trying to squeeze some time here. When I say I don't have days off, I won't have a day off. Tomorrow will be my last day off until August 17th. No, that's a lie. Tomorrow will be my last day off till July the 1st. And then after that, I'll be off from the 1st to the 6th. And then after that, I won't have a day off till August 17th. So time is going to become very valuable for me. But I will still get the list together for the greatest trades in Phillies history. We'll do that next week as well. But tonight, I want to get through the worst trades because I want to close the door on this and open up some new business on Sunday night. We will be back on the air on Sunday night. Listen, things are going to roll, man. I'm going to roll them through. You're going to watch. You're going to see me kind of go through a physical metamorphosis. But you know what? We're going to let it roll, and we're going to have some fun with it as well. But we're going to wrap things up tonight with our worst trades and start our great trades next week. I'm surprised Wheeler pitched the second game, usually the first game. Yeah, and they moved it because yesterday Wheeler was supposed to pitch. He was supposed to pitch the Wednesday game. So they moved his start to the second game today and gave Sanchez the start. It was kind of weird too. I thought kind of weird as well. Where will Painter fit in if brought up in the second half? Michael Papernick, I've said this before. And I've gone on record by saying this, and I'm going to say it again. I don't want Andrew Painter here in 2025. What in the hell is he going to do? Unless you're going to tweak the rotation, you're not going to go out and trade assets for a bullpen arm, which I'm not saying I think it's a bad idea. I'd be okay with that. But if you're not going to do that, if you're going to go out and trade for some bullpen help, leave Andrew Painter in the damn minor leagues because he doesn't have a place here. But if you're serious and you want to maintain and hold on to some of these assets and you want to potentially move Taijuan Walker or Ranger to the bullpen, then you move up, and then you would call up Painter. You would obviously fit in as the number 5 starter because going into the postseason, we're not going to use 5 starters. So we can pretty much have him, do what he's got to do and then maybe put him in the bullpen in the postseason. But in a perfect world, in a perfect world, honestly, Mike, and I mean this because I don't think starting pitching is the problem with this team. It's offense to me. To me, it's all about the offense. But in a perfect world, Andrew Painter does not come here this year. In a perfect world, we save another year of his contract this year. In a perfect world, he gets completely healthy, dominates at the AAA level. And then in 2026, we unleash him into Major League Baseball as one of our starters. But if the Phillies want to go out and save some assets, and again, I'm all for that, not trading some assets down the line for some rental players in hopes of rolling the dice to win a World Series. But if the Phillies want to go ahead and try to fix it internally by moving a Taijuan Walker or a Ranger Suarez or even both of them into the bullpen at some point, then yeah, you probably would have to see Painter and Abel, honestly, in my opinion, come up and fit in somewhere in the back end of the rotation. But in a perfect world, Michael Papernick, I don't want him here. Not in 2025. Ferguson Jenkins in the 60s was the one I had. I looked it up. It was way before my time. Barbara, that's right. You didn't check. You weren't here. Because number 4 on Matty B's worst trades in Phillies history, August 21st, 1966, the Phillies get Adolfo Phillips, John Hurstein, and the Cubs get Fergie Jenkins, Bob Bull, and Larry Jackson. So yes, Barbara, I was simpatico with you. I was tracking the whole time. I as well believe this was a terrible trade as my 4th worst in Phillies history. Anytime you move off of a Hall of Famer for some crap, it's not going to look good and it's not going to rate well or age well for your organization. So I'm on board with you, Barbara. I agree with you. It was my number 4 trade of all time. My number 4 worst trade of all time. Ryan Spurs wants to know if you can see his comments. I cannot see Ryan's comments. I cannot, Joe. Let him know I cannot. Ryan, if you're listening, I cannot see your comments. Joe C. No, I cannot see him. Oh my God, you had it. I love it. You're the best. Absolutely. I am the best, Barbara. But with Barbara, you know what, Barbara? Great segue because let's get into the list again. Let's finish it, folks. Finish it. Or was it finish him? We're going to finish it tonight. Matty B's all-time worst Phillies trades in history. We've been running this thing since 10, and we're all the way up to number 2. Tonight, we're going to do 2 and 1. We're going to end it. But let's start and recap. Number 10, Freddie Garcia. Terrible trade. Number 9, Hunter Pence. I thought it was a terrible trade because it kind of started a trend of getting rid of young players. Number 8, Ken Giles, who I was in favor of trading, but we just got nothing in return for him. Number 7 was Shane Victorino. 1 year too soon. Number 6 was Cole Hamels. Anytime you're moving off of a staff ace, you got to get something in return, and we got nothing. Number 5, Kurt Schilling. Same as Cole Hamels. When you're moving off a staff ace, you got to get something in return. You got nothing. Number 4, Fergie Jenkins. If you're moving off of a future Hall of Famer, you better pray to God you're going to end up with something more than what the Phillies got, which was nothing. And number 3, maybe not the sexiest trade, maybe not the trade that people are going to look at and say, you know what, it deserves to be at number 3 on the list, but it's my list. Logan O'Hoppe getting traded to the Los Angeles Angels for Brandon Marsh is my 3rd worst trade in Phillies history. And that leaves me now with my top 2. Slam dunk, no-brainers, if you're asking me. My number 2 worst trade in Phillies history is the 5-4-1 Von Hayes trade. Pete Rose coined it. He called it the 5-for-1 trade. Von Hayes got dealt to the Phillies from the Cleveland Indians in return for Manny Trio, George Vukovich, Julio Franco, Jay Baller, Jerry Willard. Obviously, when you look at some of the names in here, Manny Trio was on the other side of his career. George Vukovich was also on the other side of his career, but Julio Franco was not. Julio Franco, a young, burgeoning young shortstop, went on to have a Hall of Fame-like, he's not in the Hall of Fame, but he had a Hall of Fame-like career for the Indians, and I believe also for the Blue Jays at some point later on. One of the best shortstops in Major League Baseball history. And I don't know why Julio Franco is not in the Hall of Fame. Did I saw that right? He is not a Hall of Famer. But would definitely have been nice. Would have definitely been nice for having a Julio Franco. No, he is not in the Hall of Fame. He was a 3-time All-Star, a 5-time Silver Slugger Award winner, and the AL batting champion. And that's some of his career numbers. it would have been a definite better transition from the teams of the 80s. And don't forget, at that point, the Phillies were trying to do whatever they could to stay on top, to kind of cash in one more year of that dynasty of the 77 through 82 years, whatever. So they were kind of getting rid of young players and trying to get known commodities. But I would have definitely liked to seen Julio Franco manning shortstop for the next 10 years in Phillies history than Ivan De Jesus, as who ended up doing that for us. So number 2, and then Von Hayes, of course, the player that we got in return from Cleveland, never, ever, ever, ever measured up or met the expectations. Probably an unjust expectation placed on Von Hayes, but was never, ever able to meet the expectations set forth by him. Just an absolute terrible trade. Really kind of set the wheels in motion for the end of a very good era in Phillies baseball. So the 5-for-1 trade back on December the 9th, 1982 is my number 2 worst trade in Phillies history. And then that will take us, of course, to the number 1. And Barbara's like, yeah, Von Hayes. Yep. That takes me to my number 1 trade, the worst trade in Phillies history. And this is no secret to anybody. This should not be a secret to anybody. It is the Ryne Sandberg move. It was the trade in 1982 that brought us Ivan De Jesus. We sent to the Cubs Ryne Sandberg, Larry Bowa. Obviously, the Phillies at the time thought they were getting over. The trade was centered around Larry Bowa. Bowa was older. Bowa's career was ending. Ivan De Jesus was maybe about 3 or 4 years into his career at this point and was a very serviceable number 8 hitter, batted around 270 for the Cubs in his early part of his career, was above average defensively. Phillies thought they were making an upgrade with shortstop, with getting rid of Bowa and bringing on De Jesus. The problem was they had to throw in a player. And when you throw in a player that went on to transcend the position, that would go on to become one of the greatest in a franchise's history, would become a Hall of Famer, and just be synonymous whenever you talk to people about who's the greatest second baseman in baseball history, the name Ryne Sandberg is on 9 out of 10 people's mouths when they mention who the best second baseman ever to play baseball is. And we had him in our system, but we let him go for Ivan De Jesus. Hands down. Again, this was also the same year of the 5-for-1 trade. So in the course of the same offseason, the 1982 heading into the 83 season, which ended up being the Wheeze Kids, the Phillies actually made another run at a World Series in 83. But the handwriting was on the wall because they had nothing left after that. But this really, as I said, the same offseason these 2 trades were made. And good God, in retrospect, it's terrible. But the worst trade, my worst trade in Phillies history, Ryne Sandberg, Larry Bowa to the Cubs for Ivan De Jesus. And there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was fun. That was fun doing that. And next week we will start with the greatest trades, because I think that's fair. We're going to do the worst trades. Then we got to do the best. We got to do the best. Lance Parrish was afraid of signing. Yeah, that was. Matter of fact, wasn't that like the first ever marquee free agent signing the Phillies made? Or no, I guess Pete Rose. Actually, yeah, it was Pete Rose was probably the first one. Lance Parrish might have been the second one. The second biggest one. I mean, it was a big get in 86. I remember that year, man. I remember all the hype around Lance Parrish. Another one never kind of materialized into being the expectations we had. Maybe it's us, man. Maybe we're the ones that are setting too much of this stuff up, man. Did you hear that supposedly the Phillies offered Crawford, Abel, Bohm to Oakland for Mason Miller? I doubt that. Crawford, Abel, and Bohm? I don't know. Mike, would you take that trade from the Oakland A's standpoint? Crawford, yeah. Abel, nah. I don't know. I don't know if I take that trade. I don't know if there's enough there for me. But if that's the case, hey, kudos. They're trying to make some things happen. Yep, Ryan was the Phillies' biggest mistake. It was. Matty, people think Utley was a Hall of Fame guy, but not in my book. Ryan was elite. Well, here's the thing, Barbara. And this is not a knock on Chase Utley, because I think that if you're talking greatest second baseman in history, Utley's on that list. Utley's somewhere. I'm not saying he's number 2, but Utley is somewhere on that list. The problem with Chase Utley, and I honestly think that we can all agree, it was just not long enough, his career. Injuries really cut off about five solid years off his career and really left him with just 3 really kind of, he was still a spark plug kind of guy, but he definitely lost something at the end. And if he could have stayed healthy, I don't know, you might be talking a different tune, but I get what you're saying. Ryan Sandberg transcended the position. Like we talk about Mike Schmidt here. He did that for the Cubs at second base. And he was the face of that franchise for years. He was obviously the biggest mistake in our history. And the Phillies tried to somehow shake that demon by making him the manager at one point, and that thing blew up in everyone's face. But Ryan Sandberg transcended the position. And when you thought of second baseman, especially my generation, went right to Ryan Sandberg. Any memorabilia with Ryan Sandberg's name on it is worth something. He's a Hall of Famer. And in my opinion, the best second baseman ever to play the game. If I was going to create an all MLB team, he would be my starting second baseman. It's just the way it is. Bohm has low trade value. Yeah. They should have moved off of Bohm last summer, right before the trade deadline. They should have moved off of Bohm. Bohm, they're stuck with Bohm. Alec Bohm will never get moved. It ain't going to happen because they just waited too long. Alec Bohm's a Philly until he's a free agent. Joe Morgan, too. Absolutely, Barber. Joe Morgan was a great second baseman, too. But boy, oh boy. And he played here in Philadelphia, too. At the very end of his career. So the 5-for-1 trade number 2 and the Ryan Sandberg trade number 1 and the Logan O'Hoppe trade number 3 are sum up my top 10 worst trades in Phillies history. And then we will get the greatest trades revved up in the old thing next week. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. All right, let's now move to the Of the Night segment. Yeah, we're back, and this is the Of the Night segment. And tonight we've already done our MLB draft. We've done the NHL draft. I think we started the week off with the Phillies prospect, but we're going to go back to the Phillies prospects. We're going to talk about a young man by the name of Hendry Melendez, outfielder, currently plays for the Fightin' Phils down in Reading, a 6'3" left-handed hitter. Mendez has some good traits in the box that are easy to like. He batted well. His batted ball profile is good, limiting swing and miss and chase, and registering a solid hard hit rate at 43.1%. The one thing he needs to do is learn how to get the ball in the air more. After registering a ground ball rate over 60% in 24, he can get some of that raw power. Mendez was originally a free agent signing of the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers signed him back in 2021. Was that 20? No, I'm sorry, 2023. The Phillies acquired him in a trade with Milwaukee in the offseason of 2023. November of 2023, the Phillies acquired him along with Robert Moore, who's another player who's kind of really come on for Reading this year. We sent Oliver Dunn to the Brewers organization, and we got Mendez and we got Moore back. He's currently sits in our organization as the number 14th overall prospect. Hendry Mendez does. So good looking young outfielder. I don't know if he's got a future with the organization. He might be one of those players that will potentially be moved at some point. I could see that happening. But right now he's doing well. We've profiled him a couple times down on the Phillies farm segment. And I like what he brings to the table. I think he's a good contact type hitter. He's not much of he's got some power, but he's also got a lot of contact. And, but again, I don't know if he's got a future here with this team. He could be part of a trade somewhere along the line. More than likely, that's what will happen to Hendry Mendez. But tonight, at least for that, he is our Phillies profile player of the night on our Of the Night segment. which will now bring me to the final part of our final show of the week. Here we go. Yep, that's right. Our card review segment is now on. We'll wrap up the week with what we started with the week, and that's stuck in the 87 tops. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how this happened, but we've been stuck in 87 tops all week, and we'll continue to be stuck in 87 tops tonight. And I don't see any respite coming. I think 87 tops will dominate next week as well. But it is what it is. We're going to have to make it work. And tonight, though, we're going to go out with a card that, again, transcends my generation, a player that played his career primarily out on the West Coast, but his prowess and his accomplishments got back to all of us on the East Coast. And that is, I don't know, would you consider him one of the greatest first basemen ever to play the game? I don't know. Steve Garvey. This is his 87 tops when he was a member of the Padres. Now, of course, Steve Garvey's, I guess, the more prolific part of his career was spent with the Dodgers. But he was acquired by the Padres back in 1983 from the Dodgers. And again, just a real iconic player from my childhood. And when you look at him, he played out in the West Coast, but we all knew about him. He finished with a career 294 batting average, over 2,600 hits, 272 home runs, and over 1,300 RBIs. He was a 10-time All-Star, a World Series champ in 81, the NL MVP in 74, two-time NLCS champ MVP, a four-time Gold Glove winner, the Roberto Clemente Award winner, and San Diego Padres have retired his number 6. Not a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Only played his career for 2 teams, the Dodgers from 69 through 82, and then the Padres from 83 all the way to 87. And again, if you look at this card, it's the iconic 87 tops with the wood paneling borders. This card's about a $5 card, actually. It's somewhat value, and I think there's a market for Steve Garvey memorabilia, especially for people out in the West Coast. I like this card primarily because of the way the uniform of the Padres is featured. My favorite era, and you guys already know what my favorite Padre uniforms are, it's that early 80s, but this was the uniforms that replaced those. And you know what? I kind of dig them now. I didn't like them back then, but maybe if you got rid of the pinstripes, I'm not a big fan of the pinstripes, but the Padres, the way it's written across the front, that works for me, man. It stays with that traditional brown color. And I like the way this uniform is featured in this card. And of course, it's featured with a player like Steve Garvey. So I like the card. I've always liked the card. I've always had an attraction to this card. And I'll be honest, I've always liked this card. So tonight, and again, about $5 or $6 as a raw card. I think if you got this thing graded out and it graded out to a 10, you're looking at about a $70, $80 baseball card. So here it is right here. There's my 87 Steve Garvey tops. Not the greatest one. I got some cutting issues, as you can see on the borders there. It's cut kind of wrong, and that's a very common mistake on a lot of 87 tops. But this card is in pretty good shape other than that, which will decrease the value considerably. But there's something about this card that's very nostalgic to me. And again, it's probably because of the uniform, and it's the player. I didn't like the Dodgers, but they had some good players back in the early 80s. They were a dominant team, and Steve Garvey was part of that. So there you have it. My card review tonight was of the 87 top Steve Garvey. And digging it, man. I like that list. Thank you, Barbara. Good show. Thank you, Michael. Good show as always. Thank you, Joe. Steve Garvey was a great player. He was. Steve Garvey was really good. He actually started as third baseman. He absolutely did. And is Garvey? He is not. Steve Garvey is not. I repeat, not in the Hall of Fame. And I know it's weird to say, but his number 6 is retired by the Padres, and he is not. I repeat, not in the Hall of Fame. But it's strange life we live. All right, guys, listen, that is going to do it. I'm done. It's been a week, and it's not going to get any easier as we move forward, but I'm here for you. I'm here with you. We broke new ground on the program this week. We did it last night. It worked well. Starting on Sunday, we will do it. We will incorporate a opening the phone lines segment. Well, at a certain point of the show, going forward, I will put the StreamYard link into the general chat, and whoever wants to can jump on and we'll talk. Good, the bad, the ugly, whatever you want to talk about. All I require is that you have a microphone. You don't need a camera if you don't want one. You don't need it, but you need a microphone because I need to hear from you. So starting on Sunday, we did it last night. It worked great. As we had some technical difficulties in the beginning, but we got through it and we had fun with it. Starting Sunday, it'll become a nightly part of the show. The phone lines will open every night on the program. So make sure you're tuned in for that. Make sure you're hooking it up and doing what you got to do. Yeah, he's not in the hall. It's weird. Night. You too. Von Hayes' story, he used to manage a baseball team in Jersey. Yeah, man. Poor guy. Came to Philadelphia and got his life ran into the ground. He was a decent player, man, but we just had way too much expectations on him. He still is my number 2 worst trade ever in Phillies history. I'm sorry, Joe. It is. And you know it's the truth. And Ryan Sandberg is a no-brainer worst trade in Phillies history. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. And remember all the great programming here on the network coming up. Because just because I'm done for the week doesn't mean the others are. Sunday morning is the PM and the AM program. Your Sunday mornings will never be the same. Tomorrow night at 10:30 is the wraparound with Pat Bernard. And then starting as well, here's our Fighting's final for the weekend. Al, Pat, and Mike have you covered. And I will be back on Sunday with the final word. So till we talk again then, enjoy your week, the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go Phillies, and we will talk. We'll talk soon. Take care.